The San Francisco Bay Area has its fair share of auto accidents. Sometimes they can be horrific, but none of them can compare to the one I am about to describe. This is Highway 24, an artery connecting Oakland with Contra Costa County. It traverses the Oakland Hills via the Caldecott Tunnel. On April 7, 1982, just after midnight, the tunnel was the site of a hellish tragedy that most Bay Area residents will never forget.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I would like to add now that investigators discovered that those who had survived the initial crash each had a chance to continue survival, provided they had made the decision to exit the tunnel. But they had just 2 minutes to do so, with the clock beginning to tick from the moment the crashed vehicles in the tunnel had come to rest. A woman driving a 1980 Honda sedan entered the east end of the tunnel. She was headed west to get to her home in Hayward after visiting various drinking establishments throughout the day in Concord and Walnut Creek. Witnesses later reported that the car she was driving was swerving all over the road and struck a wall just 200 yards after entering the tunnel. Several cars had to swerve to miss her before the Honda came to a stop in the left-hand lane. The driver unwisely got out of her car to inspect the damages and was standing in front of her car when 2 more vehicles entered the tunnel. In the right lane was a commercial diesel truck pulling 2 tankers filled with 8,000 gallons of gasoline. In the left lane was an empty AC transit bus that was attempting to overtake the tanker truck. The driver of the bus was unable to stop after seeing the parked Honda. It struck the car while traveling at a speed of about 65 miles per hour. The car and the bus then both careened into the tanker trailer, causing both tanks to flip onto their side. The bus driver was not wearing a seatbelt and was violently ejected from the bus and was killed when his body struck the wall and the wreckage. The woman standing in front of her disabled car was killed by the tremendous force of the wreckage being thrust upon her. The throttle of the bus was jammed into full open position from the carnage, and the bus continued at a high rate of speed toward the west end of the tunnel, never slowing. The cab portion of the tanker truck remained upright when it came to a rest, and the driver was not injured as he was securely held safe by his seatbelt. The tanker driver saw the small fire that had instantly started due to the collision. He could also clearly smell the gasoline that was now leaking out of the damaged tanks. He could see that the western side of the tunnel was a further distance than if he had simply backtracked to the way he had come in. But he knew that cars were still coming into the tunnel from that direction, which posed an additional danger. He decided to make a clean break from all the danger and began running as fast as he could toward the western opening of the tunnel, knowing that the clock had begun. Not just for him, but for anyone in that tunnel when the leaked gasoline met the burning flame. Just behind the tanker truck was a beer truck with 2 occupants. Those men could also see the small area of flames as well as the rising tide of gasoline. The driver at one point opened his door and began to exit, but then got back in his cab and shut the door, obviously making the decision to ride out the inevitable explosion. To the side and to the rear of the beer truck was a pickup truck being driven by a man whose mother was a passenger. They tried to back the truck out of the tunnel, but came across a Pontiac sedan that was taking up both lanes. So the man and his mother got out of the truck to chance the rest of the way on foot. Inside the Pontiac was an elderly couple who also decided to stay in their vehicle. As the clock was still ticking, the man and his mother had almost made it to the entrance of the tunnel. The man was directing all cars entering the tunnel to back up. Perhaps inspired by her son's heroic behavior, the woman ran to the emergency phone on the tunnel wall to inform tunnel authorities on duty that there was a multiple vehicle accident in the tunnel. The son left his mother and continued the few more steps to exit the tunnel. That is precisely the moment that options ran out for anyone inside of the tunnel. The flames ignited the 8,000 gallons of gasoline, instantly filling the tunnel with a concentrated ball of flame and heat that no glass and few metals could withstand. Those in their cars were very quickly burned beyond recognition. The woman on the call box phone was disintegrated into a fine ash that blew away in the wind. The tanker driver had also made his way to safety on the opposite end of the tunnel. I think the lesson to be learned here is always keep your air conditioner blowing cold and don't be stingy with the beer.